Hello all and welcome to the external class for Cad2d. Now I apologise that it's taken me a little over a week to produce a video and get all this happening, but we have had a few issues and also there's been a major headache of getting some students onto Moodle. We don't want to go producing I guess the introductory stuff and getting that to students and then having to get it to other students and so on, and the issues that come around from that. So we're all getting started at the same time, which is fantastic. But one issue, I guess, essentially with this semester is that it's slightly shorter than semesters of old, and we cram a little bit more in. So that just means that these next couple of weeks we're going to have to be a little busier than what we would normally do with our with the Cad2d. So I'll just bring that up. So bring up the page. So this page should be familiar to all of you now. You should have access to Moodle. Or I'll go in and check and make sure that we have everybody on there today. It should be all good. But if you don't, then please contact me and let me know. We've got to get you onto this ASAP. Now, once you open up this page, you'll see a bunch of tiles down here. It's all very, very simple for this subject. We don't have a huge amount of tiles, but we do have a huge amount of work. What we'll need to do is have a quick look in before you start. So we've got the learning program in there that may be handy for you. That shows what all the internal students are doing week to week, and you can track yourself against that and see how you're faring, see how you're tracking. But as a simple guide, what we should be doing this week are the practice exercises, and then next week we should be ripping into starting assignment, or late next week. But work your way through the practice exercises first, and that will give you a really good grounding in how to approach the project. And then later next week, we should get another video up there for getting you started on the assignment, on the major assignment, which is a fairly weighty assignment, so you'll want to get stuck into that as soon as possible. I've also negotiated with the internal lecturer for him to produce some snippets of his internal classes and record those as recordings. I'll get those up when I get them from him, if and when I get them from him. But for what we don't get from him, I'll have to supplement with some specifically produced recordings just for you all. And also, in regards to that, the external lecturer the internal lecturer has produced a couple videos specifically for this as well, stuff that he's taken students through. So within the AutoCAD program, when you open it up first, you have the option of just ripping straight into it and starting with a drawing, or you have the option of going through and doing some of the learning exercises that the AutoCAD program has built in. And so Jim has had a look at some of those learning exercises that you may wish to go through on AutoCAD. It's not compulsory, but watching the video can be handy for you. But the main concern for us are working through the learning programs that are here on Moodle. So I'll just show those now. So we have here learning resource. Open this link. If you wish to purchase a copy of this, it's a very, very handy document for getting to know AutoCAD and the way you use it. However, the important aspect of learning AutoCAD or getting started has actually been included under the AutoCAD user interface, and then below that we have sample chapters. So that's a sample chapter from that document, and that's to get you started. So our first order of business with this subject is to open up the sample chapter and work our way through that. To work our way through that step by step, we'll need to grab these drawings as well. So these drawings are drawings that you can open up in AutoCAD to muck around with things like panning and moving objects, etc. So I'll just quickly open this up. Hopefully My internet speeds are decent today. It's not looking very decent. I'll close that down. We'll talk about some other things for now. If I can get something else. So within here, there's also the AutoCAD intro video. So we see a screen up above us. That's from AutoCAD 2015. It's showing AutoCAD fairly much as you would see it today. However, there are some slight changes to that, but it has today's, the 2018 format is really very similar, with all of our little tabs that divide everything up. So home, insert, annotate, parametric view, manage, output, etc. So output for printing things. Manage is for, I'll grab that. I'll go through this actually when I get the AutoCAD program up in a minute and show you the 2018 version, which is not too dissimilar from this 2015. Below that we have our AutoCAD intro video. That was recorded by Belinda back in 2014, so that's on the 2014 version. Some of you will have already, well, I know some of you have already watched this video because you've asked me some questions about it. Yes, there are definitely differences in the interface between 2014 and 2018. Now this video that Belinda has produced is still fantastic video and still relevant for the use of the tools, and she's got some excellent comments in there. So I'll leave that there for you to watch, but at the end of this video I'll bring up CAD 2018 and show you some of the differences there, so you're not confused between what she's doing in hers. And so how are we doing with our, let's see how we're doing with our opening up of our sample chapter. Let's do that again, do I? No. Well, actually, I'll leave that sample chapter for you to look at in your own leisure at home. There's really nothing that I can add to that myself. It is simply a process of opening that sample chapter and working through that piece by piece, step by step, in a methodical fashion as it sets out the processes of how to use the AutoCAD program. Some of you who have experience with AutoCAD already might find that a relatively tedious process. I encourage you to still at least read through it and think about, why am I being told to do things in this way, or why am I being told to do things in that way? I find with AutoCAD there are so many, for want of a better term, ways to skin a cat, that you can approach a drawing from so many ways, and you can approach the drawing of a single object from so many different avenues and employ different processes, that we tend to slip into our old, or we form habits based around the type of drafting that we typically do on a day-to-day basis, and we use many of the same tools. But there are other tools we can employ for doing exactly the same process, but just from a different avenue. It is good, however, to update your skills and broaden your skills with AutoCAD time and again. And so within this sample chapter, have a look through and have a think about the way you do things. This is if you're an existing CAD user, and how that can be broadened, and how you can do things in another way. And that sample chapter should highlight some things for you in that regard. And once we're finished with that sample chapter and that exercise, there are these exercises to work on as well. So we'll need to work our way through that. Some we work through quickly, some will take a little bit more time, and some will need some other instruction. Myself, being a part-time lecturer, and I work in construction in remote areas as well, and so I don't always have internet access. However, for this coming week and the next week, all of my work is based here in Adelaide, and I will be very contactable. So I also encourage you that if you need to get in contact with me, I'll always endeavour to answer emails within a couple of days, because I'm never out of internet access for too long. But certainly over these next couple of weeks, I'm very available for helping out with any issues that you may have. So by all means, get started on first that sample chapter and the exercises in that, and then our AutoCAD practice exercises. So coordinates and layers, and we have the drawing associated with that. So you need to get the PDF up and then also download the drawing. And you may want to just go through and download all these drawings to begin with. Create a separate folder on your computer where they sit, so you're not having to flip between Moodle and your and CAD. And you've got those sitting there already at your disposal, and then open PDFs here as you wish. Another thing to mention for those, or possibly for those who have experience with AutoCAD as well, but primarily for those who don't have experience with AutoCAD and doing technical drawings, it is a very handy thing to have a second screen. When we're drawing, and particularly for this class, well, we can't say, look, you need to go out and buy a second screen also, and this, it's all up to your judgment on that. But in setting up a workstation, either at work or at home, particularly if you're doing CAD work, it is very handy to have two screens operating, and certainly for these practice exercises, it is very handy to have two screens operating, because we can have this coordinates and layers exercise PDF open on one screen, have AutoCAD open on the other screen, and then quickly work through the drawings in that fashion, rather than having to minimise screens or try to cram things on, or at worst, flick between screens, flick back and forth. So if there's any way you can have access to two screens, that is fantastic. Here at the TAFE at Tonsley, we have all of our machines, the computer pools, have two screens. Some have got, well, yeah, I guess I don't need to talk about the various different screens we've got here, but if you're a student here, obviously you are, you can gain access to the computer pools here, and you may want to do some work within the TAFE itself. So we're looking for rooms 211, 212, 311 and 312 that have AutoCAD on the computers and multiple screens for you to use at your leisure. But beware of the class times, etc. Actually, I could have made that available in the video. Sorry, I didn't think to post that into this video here. But there are classes held in the computer pools throughout the day, and if you're wanting to come and use this as a student, you may need to be wary of the fact that all the computers in a pool may be taken. However, a lot of our lecturers here at TAFE Tonsley are very, very lovely people, and if you're polite and courteous, and they have spare computers in their pool, I don't see a reason why you can't slip in and work quietly during another class. So there's that option. So what we really need to be getting stuck into is that sample chapter, and now the AutoCAD practice exercises. Work through these at your own pace at home or in the computer pools here. So that's what we need to get going on, and get going on very quickly. If you'll excuse me, I'll just pause the video for a minute. I've got somebody here at the door. Hold on. Okay, back, no issues. So following on from the practice exercises, we have the assessment task. Now, some of the assessment task is available to you to look at the moment. So the assessment task is broken up into three areas. We've got our task 1, floor plan, task 2, elevations and section details, and then task 3 is other plans. I'm doing some updating of these drawings to bring them up to a better standard currently, but trying to ensure that does not conflict with other requirements in some of the other tasks. So that for now is not available to you, rather than creating confusion, and we will certainly not be getting stuck into task 3 for some months yet, or at least some weeks, even for the speediest of students. This one's further down in the pipeline, so I'm holding that back for now. But if you're very comfortable in using AutoCAD and you find that you're not gaining a great deal from the practice exercises, you can move on and start task 1, floor plan, and then on to task 2, elevations and section details. If you wish, those ones are ready to go, but Task 3 is undergoing renovation as we speak. So they are available to you. Also, what you will need, obviously, is a computer, and you're going to have a not necessarily a relatively modern computer. You can run AutoCAD on an older computer. When you go onto the Autodesk website, so we click on software for home, and we've got a link to Autodesk website here. Go onto that, and it will tell you the specific requirements for AutoCAD. It will tell you obviously the minimum requirements or minimum system requirements for running AutoCAD, and then it will tell you the preferred system requirements. But even many of the smaller scale computers today can run AutoCAD very well. I just chucked it onto a Microsoft Surface Pro yesterday, and it's working fine. From that tablet, and that's a it's a relatively small computer. So for many of your desktop computers, you should be fine. There is also available AutoCAD for Mac. It has some slight differences as well, and but that's also available from Autodesk, and it's available free for students. So for both PC and for Mac, you get a free student copy of AutoCAD to use on your computer. It comes with some restrictions, i.e., you're not allowed to use it for business. It has to be used for student or educational purposes. But it's free, and you can put AutoCAD on up to 2 devices using that free software. So you can put it on a tablet and a desktop if you wish, if you have both of those. And if you are using, well, I've got AutoCAD for Mac at home as well on my laptop at home. So if you do end up using AutoCAD for Mac, you'll see some slight differences between some of the Moodle and video information. But I also use that at home myself, and if you have any questions, you can ask me about that as well. But for all intents and purposes, I encourage AutoCAD for PC, because that's what we're using here the TAFE. And you won't have, although I've never had much in the way of compatibility issues, to be honest, between the PC and Mac, grabbing drawings from one to the other. Well, not too many compatibility issues anyhow, but it'll certainly be easier for you if you're using it for PC, and if you're going to be switching between here, in the TAFE and at home. So grab that free software and do that as soon as possible. I think it's about 5 gig download. So if you're unfortunate to like myself, living in the hills and not having access to ADSL or any decent broadband, you have to operate over your phone or dongle. Then I suggest going down and downloading it at a place where you get free Wi-Fi, the library or something like that, because it is a relatively large file and it'll take a little while. But for many of you within the metropolitan area, that should be fairly simple. So that's what we've got in Moodle. That's what we've got to get working on and get started on. There's also a tab here, so CAD recordings and keyboard shortcuts. That's once again Belinda's introduction video, for which there are some differences. We have a few blocks here, and some hyperlinks as well, dealing with dimensions, text, paper space, model space. That's right. That's where it's right up the top there. Our PDF for keyboard shortcuts. So I'll just quickly open that. Hopefully, that's a much more document with our sample chapter, and that can open up. So it takes you through various different keyboard shortcuts. And so one thing I'll just stick on this page just for now. I really encourage you to get stuck into using keyboard shortcuts. Rather and the example videos and the sample chapters and so on take you through the use of AutoCAD tools. So here we have our AutoCAD tools. It takes you through the use of those, use those as icons, so we click on them as icons and then we use them. However, what is so much quicker is leaving your right hand on, if you're right-handed, leaving your right hand on your mouse and your left hand on the keyboard, and selecting all your tools with your left hand from the keyboard. You'll find you'll work far quicker in that way. And typically our keyboard shortcuts for any of our tools in AutoCAD will use the letter that the name starts with. So if we want to draw a line, we press L and enter, or either enter or spacebar, whichever is handiest for your hand. Click enter or spacebar, and then you can draw, and then using your cursor you can draw a line. And Belinda shows that in the video. But a really good way of learning our keyboard shortcuts, rather than get a list of keyboard shortcuts, that can be handy in and of itself for learning about some new tools that are not always not always apparent from the toolbar. So you go into the toolbar and you search your way through, and there's some things that are hidden and some features that are not always obvious. To get a list of keyboard shortcuts can introduce you to some new tools and tools that you won't be introduced to in the sample chapter. But the best way to go about learning your keyboard shortcuts is just to try to remember the names of all the tools, and then just use the first letter of those, and you'll get a little dialog box drop down, and it will tell you about the keyboard shortcuts. And I'll show you that now in CAD. Oh, just hold on a minute, I've got another person at the door. Okay, back again, and no issues there with that. So I'll just open up AutoCAD. So this is AutoCAD 2018. So you'll see some slight differences from Belinda's demonstration as well. And we've got our model space set here as black as well. We can right click on that and go to options, and then slowly. Within options we have various different options. We can go display, we can go colour scheme dark, we can go light. I like to keep dark myself, and I'll leave it as such, but muck around with that if you wish. You can also modify your workspace to a certain extent, move things around. You know, we can grab things off and drop them down here if we wish. Yeah, I'll drop them back. I'll check that there actually. No, let's bring that back in. So it's got to be the same as what you see when you're using your AutoCAD. But you'll notice with just a couple of these not tool groups, but I guess facilities within AutoCAD, you have the capacity, or this tiny little arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. I find it incredibly handy to use, particularly with properties, to expand that using that little arrow, and have my properties sitting there on the side. We'll see the power of having that properties dialog box open on the side of your drawing becomes a little bit more, I guess, how do I say it, that evident as we start to use more lines, well, different types of lines and line weights, etc. So for now we've just got layer 0 up there, and I won't go into that. That's something that you will do in the practice exercises. However, so to demonstrate the keyboard shortcut, go L, enter, and I'm ready to draw a line. And with the dynamic input, as explained in Belinda's video, we can make that line to whatever length we want. I want to make it 2.5 metres, I type in 2,500. And there we go, I've got a 2.5 metre long line, and to copy, I'll go CO, enter, grab that, copy it to whatever distance I want. I don't have all my parametric set up there in this drawing as I normally have them set up at home. So we can go in and modify those, and that is one difference you'll see between this video built based on the 2018 AutoCAD interface and what Belinda produced in 2014, is for all of our parametric information, all of our parametric options and tools, we don't have the ability to switch between text and icons. Within 2018, they're just locked in as icons. Now, in Belinda's video, what she did was a right click on that bar and then change it to text. Unfortunately, within 2018, they're locked as icons, but you can hover your cursor over those icons and it tells you what they are. So we've got orthographic mode, got polar tracking, got isograph. That's not something I typically use. That's for changing the angles of a drawing. Object snap. I use that quite a lot, and we can to the left. Okay. Got to grab the drop down arrow on this one. Excuse me. And we can switch on various different things. So we've got endpoint, center. I reckon midpoint's a really good one to have on as well. Sometimes you can use nodes. I'll chuck node on, and I'll just do a quick demonstration with that. It's something Belinda didn't do in hers. Yeah, perpendiculars is a good one. Tangent I don't use, but I think Belinda mentions that in her video she does, and that sort of goes to the nature of AutoCAD. You find you slip into various modes of use of AutoCAD based on the type of drawing work you typically do, because it calls upon certain tools, and as human beings we form habits to use those particular tools, and then sort of stick with those habits. But another great tool that's not so easily found within our tools is divide. So keyboard shortcut for that, div. Oops, clicking a few buttons there. Div divide. Go enter, and I can select. So I select the object I want to divide, and I want to divide that into 4 segments. And then because of our drawing scale, the nodes are not too evident. But when I I'll have to zoom in on that. I haven't really set things up to show those nodes very well, but it should allow me to snap to a node. So L, and then there we go, snapping to quarter of the way through that line. So that's with node snapped on with object snap. Okay, that should be enough to get you all started, and you can see the differences between this screen and the 2014 screen that Belinda used for her demonstration video. By all means, go through that screen, but beware that some things are slightly different between those, notably all the parametric information. Aware of that, and then have a muck around, and I encourage you, as I said before, to have a crack with learning all the keyboard shortcuts for that. We've got a class happening in this room very shortly. Another lecturer has a class happening in this room very shortly, so I've got to let you go. If you have any queries, please let me know via email, michael.jenkins@tsa.edu.